Arab chieftain named Ariamnes rode into the Roman camp, offering to guide them.
Great Crassus! Why march along the river, slow as an ox? I know a faster road, straight to the Parthian heart.
Cassius did not trust him.
The river protects our flank. If we leave it, we leave our water. We leave our safety.
But Crassus was impatient. Glory does not wait.
We did not come this far to crawl. Lead the way!
The Syrian desert. Dawn. A single Roman soldier stumbles across the sand, alone. His armor is gone. His eyes are hollow. Behind him, nothing but empty dunes and the rising sun. Near a frontier outpost, a sentry sees him and runs forward.
Soldier! Soldier! Where is your legion?
The man does not answer. He simply keeps walking. The survivor finally stops, and when he speaks, his voice is barely a whisper.
There is no legion. There is no army. There is only them.
Behind him, the desert wind carries a sound, distant, rhythmic, the sound of hooves. This is the story of the worst defeat in Roman history. This is the Battle of Carrhae. To understand this disaster, you have to understand one man, Marcus Licinius Crassus, the richest man in Rome, perhaps the richest man alive. He had crushed the slave rebellion of Spartacus. He had bought the loyalty of senators. He had everything money could buy, everything except glory. His rivals had it: Pompey, the great conqueror, Caesar, tearing through Gaul, and Crassus, older than both, had only his gold. So he looked east, to Parthia, an empire beyond the Euphrates. Rich, mysterious, and, he believed, weak. In his villa, his officers gathered, and not all of them agreed.
Parthia has done nothing to Rome. There is no war here to win.
Crassus only smiled.
There is an empire of gold across the river, and no one in Rome has the courage to take it. No one but me.
His second-in-command, Cassius, stepped forward.
The Parthians do not fight like us. They have no cities to besiege. They fight on horseback across open ground. Then we will ride them down like the barbarians they are.
The room fell silent because everyone could see it. Crassus did not want a war. He wanted a legend. In the spring of 53, before the Common Era, Crassus crossed the Euphrates, 7 legions, nearly 50,000 men, the largest Roman army ever sent east, and at first, nothing. No enemy, no army, only desert. The heat came first, then the thirst, then the doubt. An Arab chieftain named Ariamnes rode into the Roman camp, offering to guide them.
Great Crassus! Why march along the river, slow as an ox? I know a faster road, straight to the Parthian heart.
Cassius did not trust him.
The river protects our flank. If we leave it, we leave our water. We leave our safety.
But Crassus was impatient. Glory does not wait.
We did not come this far to crawl. Lead the way!
So the guide led them off. The feet chevied the river into the open desert, into the empty, waterless plain near a town called Carrhae. And then Ariamnes was gone, vanished in the night, because he had never been their guide. He had been their trap. The Romans marched into the open, exhausted and dry. Then the scouts came galloping back.
They're here! The Parthians! They're here! I could not count them!
Crassus formed his legions into a great hollow square, shields locked on every side, the formation that had conquered the world. And then the Parthians appeared. At their head rode a young commander, brilliant, patient, deadly. His name was Surena. He had brought only 10,000 men against 50,000 Romans, but every one of his men was on horseback, and Surena had prepared something the Romans had never seen. He gave a signal, and across the desert, the Parthians tore the covers from their armor. Sunlight exploded off polished steel. Drums thundered, deep, alien, terrifying.
What are those drums? Steady! Hold the line! They are trying to frighten us!
But this was only the beginning. Surena did not charge. That was the first shock. The Parthian horsemen circled the Roman square just out of reach, and then they raised their bows. The first volley darkened the sky. Arrows fell like rain onto the Roman shields.
Shields up! Shields up!
The Romans locked their shields overhead, and they waited, because Roman soldiers knew one truth about archers. Archers run out of arrows. So they held, and they endured, and they waited for the arrows to stop. But the arrows did not stop.
Sir, they keep firing. They should be empty by now.
Behind the Parthian lines, a train of camels waited, thousands of them, each one loaded with fresh arrows. Surena had planned for a siege of arrows, an endless supply. The Romans realized the horror slowly. This would not end.
Hold the formation! Hold, hold!
And then came the second shock. Every time a Roman thought he was safe, every time the horsemen turned to flee, they twisted backward in the saddle and fired as they rode away. The Parthian shot. There was no safe direction, no moment to breathe. Death came from every angle, even in retreat. Crassus saw his army dying where it stood. He turned to his son, Publius, young, brave, beloved.
Take the cavalry. Drive them back! Break their circle! Or we die here in this square!
Publius did not hesitate.
For Rome, father!
It was the last time Crassus would see him alive. Publius charged with 1,300 horsemen, and for one moment, it worked. The Parthians turned and fled before him.
They're running! After them! Run them down!
But it was a trick, the oldest trick the Parthians knew. They drew Publius further and further from the army, away from help, away from hope. And then the horse archers wheeled around him, and the heavy cataphracts closed the trap. Publius and his men were surrounded on open ground. Wounded, his arm useless, Publius knew there would be no escape. He turned to his shield-bearer.
I cannot let them take me alive. Do it! Now!
And so, the son of the richest man in Rome died in the dust, far from home, far from his father. The Parthians cut off his head. Back in the square, Crassus still hoped. Then the Parthians rode close, and they raised something on the point of a spear. The head of his son. The army saw it too.
Publius. No. No.
And whatever courage remained in them began to die. An officer gripped Crassus by the shoulder, but something in Crassus was already gone.
Sir, you must lead them. The men are watching you. If you break, they break.
The richest man in Rome, the man who wanted a legend, now stood broken in the desert, staring at his son's face on a Parthian spear. Night finally fell, and under the cover of darkness, the shattered legions abandoned their wounded and fled toward the town of Carrhae. The screams of the men left behind followed them into the dark. There would be no escape. The next day, Surena sent an offer, a meeting, a truce, safe passage for the survivors. Crassus did not believe it, but his own soldiers, desperate and terrified, forced him to go.
If you do not meet them, we are all dead men! Go! Or we will hand you over ourselves!
So Crassus rode out to meet Surena. The meeting collapsed into violence almost at once. A scuffle, a drawn sword, and there, in the desert, he had come to conquer. Marcus Licinius Crassus was killed. Legend says the Parthians poured molten gold down his throat, a final mockery of the man who came for their wealth. Whether it is true or not, the message was clear. You wanted gold, now drink it. Of the 50,000 men who crossed the Euphrates, barely 10,000 ever returned. 20,000 dead, 10,000 more dragged into captivity, and 7 silver eagles, the sacred standards of the legions, were lost to Parthia. For Rome, it was a humiliation that would burn for generations. The invincible legions had met an enemy they did not understand, and in the deserts of the East, they had been erased. Rome would never forget Carrhae, and Rome would never again be so certain of its own invincibility. But the man who truly broke Rome was not a foreign king. He was one of their own. Because, with Crassus dead, only two men remained to rule the Republic, Pompey and Caesar, and soon they would turn on each other. That is another story.